It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. Be sure to go follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412. If you're not watching the show on YouTube already, go subscribe to the channel there. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Also, check us out on the listening platforms as well, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Follow us there, leave a 5-star review, and you can check out the description of each show that we do put out. We have links to all of our great sponsors down below. This is the Pirates episode, and the Pirates, I mean, let's face it, they just continue to be pretty poor, and I feel like it's just rubbing salt in the wound a little bit with some of the news that we just got recently.
Yeah, you know what, we should anytime that we open up the show talk about our sponsors, we should mention, if you are interested in jumping on board with Around the 412 as a sponsor, reach out to us. There's plenty of room if you want to join up with us. You can hit us up at Around the 412 on any social media platform. Reach out to us via email, aroundthe412@gmail.com. But I'm just throwing that out there, especially if you are a Pittsburgh-based company. Would make a ton of sense. Would love to do that. But yeah, to your point, so we knew the Jared Jones thing. I would almost say it's not good news, obviously, but he's not having Tommy John. He's having, I can't remember, inner brace surgery or interior brace surgery or something like that, I think is what he used on his Instagram post about it, was the term that he put out there. So the timeline changes from 12 to 18 months to 10 to 12 months. So obviously still going to miss all of 2025 as we anticipated would happen. But, you know, if he can return at this point of the 2026 season, that's a better prognosis than what we thought. Because if he was having Tommy John right now, you're knocking out 2 years. And all of a sudden it would have been since 2024 since we saw Jared Jones pitch, which is crazy to think about. But obviously still sucks for him. All the best to Jared. And I can't imagine, like, you know, we think about the physical toll. What about the mental toll on that, you know, to not pitch for that long and be away from what you love doing at such a young age too. We talked about how common Tommy John is to have now, or just, I know this isn't Tommy John, but a procedure that's taking you out for an entire season. Think about the mental toll that has to take on anybody, but, you know, especially a young player coming into this. So, you know, hopefully he's able to still be around the ball club and, you know, keep his spirits high and just realize, what's on the other end of this thing is hopefully a very fruitful career for him. We had the opportunity to talk to him before his career even really got going, when he was a second-round pick out of high school. And it was a honestly relatively short conversation. I'm curious to see how that conversation would go now. You know, how much different he is developed from that.
Well, I'm sure it's a little different being a 18-year-old, if he was even 18 at the time, being drafted. Three dudes or a couple dudes interviewing you that you have no idea who they are. To now he's probably media trained. He's been in the big leagues, so he's used to people asking those types of questions. I'm sure he'd be a little more relaxed about that. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the mental stuff. I gotta imagine that too. Adding on to that is that whether he thinks about this a lot or not, like Jared Jones has talked about being like one of the key pieces to this team right now, and one of the successful pieces for this team, knowing that you're not going to be out there for your guys, being able to contribute to that I'm sure that plays into it as well. And obviously wish nothing but for the best for Jared Jones and his recovery. And I looked into it as well, the actual surgery. So the procedure, you were right. It was some are speculating that it was an internal brace procedure.
Internal. I think I said every word but internal. I think I said interior and inner.
An internal brace procedure was performed on his UCL, so the same ligament as the Tommy John surgery, except the Tommy John surgery is a complete restruction of the ligament from like a complete tear. Meanwhile, this is less invasive, and obviously the recovery time is shorter. So hopefully all things go well with Jared Jones. But unfortunately for the Pirates of 2025, they're not going to be with him at all. And we knew that it was going to be a while if he was going to rejoin the club in the first place, maybe like mid to late summer at some time. But now they're not going to get him at all. And honestly, that just figures that the way that 2025 is going with the Pirates, that just kind of is, like I said, adding salt into the wound. It's just twisting the knife a little bit to be a Pirates fan. And then just it all circles back to the question, what's the point? But it honestly, with Jared Jones being out, I don't even know if he was here, if it would even matter, because the same struggles that they have had,
more frustrated.
It has nothing to do with starting pitching. In fact, the starting pitching has been amazing in recent
they have
games.
3 guys, or they have 4. So Skenes, Falter, and Heaney are all top 25, top 20, and then I think Mitch Keller's like 28th or somewhere also top 30.
They have 4 top 30 pitchers in terms of ERA, and they have 3 top pitchers that are top 20. Bailey Falter is 20th. Paul Skenes is number 5.
And you got to figure, like, just projecting with what Jared Jones did last year, he would also be sliding probably somewhere within that. So, I mean, the starting pitch, I think we would even be more frustrated if Jared Jones was part of this, because it would just be replace Carmen Mlodzinski's production with Jared Jones. The starting pitching would be even better, and we'd still be not getting hitting and still losing these games.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too, is that it sucks that the problem is continuing to happen. And what we talked about to start this season, or even before the season even started, how we kind of, whether it was hyperbole or not, said that the Pirates very well could have a top 5 pitching rotation in terms of starters and then a bottom 5 offense. That's playing out to fruition right now. We were literally seeing that with our own eyes. In the we mentioned the rankings. In the last 14 starts for the Pittsburgh Pirates starters, the combined ERA is 2.12 among the starters in their last 14 games. Yeah. And their record is probably, I don't know, around 300. Like probably not even around 500 in those games. I know that a couple weeks ago they split, but then they lost 2 out of 6, or excuse me, they won 2 out of 6 last week. Like this is, I don't know what more you could ask from a starting pitching standpoint than what you've been getting out of your starters this season, and the team is just continuing to implode on itself. And I continue every single week we record. I make it a point to go back and look at, like, how far back do I have to go to see how bad they were at some point to match the 2025 season. And I believe we're still on track with the 2006 season. The 2006 season is how far you have to go back to see 50 games in. They were 16-34. 50 games in this year, the Pirates are 17-33. So 1 game better.
Dude, how about the Rockies?
The Rockies. I mean, yeah.
You were saying a 50-game sample size. It just reminded me of 8 wins, I believe.
Isn't that like historically the worst ever?
In the modern era.
As of right now, in the modern era. Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, that's a whole different conversation to have about the Rockies. But man, I mean, for the Pirates specifically, you got to go back to 2006, whenever they were this bad to start a season. It's crazy that
nowhere near this type of pitching on that team.
Yeah, they had nowhere near this type of pitching. In fact, like, it was probably more balanced out. They were just the skill gap was just lower. You didn't have the type of pitching that they had, but you had some better hitters on those like mid 2000s teams.
Drop Jason Bay and Freddie Sanchez on this team right now.
Yeah,
please.
100%. And I mean, I would take many
Xavier
people.
Nady.
I'd take Jack Wilson too. Like I'd literally, if you could just swap the pitching and swap the batters, I'd take that.
Yeah, I mean, other than obviously would like to carry over Cruz. Okay, maybe a bit of a positive here. I feel like Brian Reynolds has looked better, I think, within the last week since we last talked. Not that he could have looked worse. He was literally in a hitless drought. So
I mean, he was
as long as he got 1 hit,
118. So
yeah. As long as he got 1 hit, we would have been talking this week about how he's looked better. But I do think he's seeing the ball better. He's even gotten some hits, but more so just like the approach, I think, looks better. So that's a positive to take away. I think, I mentioned Hunter Barco. We were kind of unsure about that prognosis down there on the farm. Probably best case scenario for him for what it looked like it was going to be. really nothing. I mean, I think that there was some soreness or something like that, or felt he tweaked something, but it wasn't anything that he's going to miss like significant time or anything like that. Todd Tomczyk, the director there, and every week when he gives updates, everybody's just thinking it's just going to be like him. It's like a scroll, and he just starts listing off all the terrible things that have happened within the last week. But that was actually some good news to come out of that. He even started throwing again, so I don't even know if he's going to end up like he probably missed one start, maybe two because of that. So that's good news. Back to the bad news. Enmanuel Valdez also had surgery. It was on his non-throwing shoulder. I'm guessing that stems all the way back from when he slid into the base and like things just seemed to be off because then he like swung too hard the one time and seemed like he like threw his shoulder out doing that. But I think it all stems back to that original sliding into the base, and it just got worse, continuing to play through it or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if the Pirate, I didn't know where I stood with him anyway. I think that he at times it's almost like the same thing that we got going on right now with Canario, where there was like some intrigue there. And I think it definitely deserved to get a little bit of a look, but I don't know that I felt like he was going to be really a piece anyway, but obviously don't want to see injury be the reason that he gets taken out of the lineup. Also with Spencer Horwitz coming back into the fold, wasn't sure how much we were going to see him, but still, again, you don't want injury to be the reason that we don't. So some good and some bad within Todd Tomczyk's latest injury update. Oh, and then Justin Lawrence, who was we're looking really good out of the bullpen. Unfortunately, suffered an injury. I think I just saw that he got another shot, like a PCP shot or something like that, and he's not even going to try to start throwing for another couple weeks. So, don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah, the offense continues to be kind of pitiable, if that's even putting it nicely. Like you mentioned, Brian Reynolds did have a bounce back this week. He is batted 294 in his last 7 days, and on base 350, which is a far cry away from what he was doing previously to that. Like we said, he was like 0 for 20 something in his last several games prior to that. So solid performance this past week from him. But then he continues to see guys that shouldn't be struggle. I mean, Joey Bart batted 125 this past week. O'Neal Cruz 0.067 in the last week. Adam Frazier.
Oh, well, yeah. Also, wait, we need to talk about the process with that. Like, it hurt his back and then didn't play for like 4 games. And then they bring him in cold to pinch hit against a really good lefty pitcher who I think has since been suspended for PEDs from the Phillies. But he comes in to pinch hit in like a bases loaded situation, like a very important spot. Obviously, like strikes out, and then he struck out like the next 7 times that he came up to the plate. But like, I don't know. To me, that bat, like he probably should have gone on the IL or something. Like I don't understand what the process was of not playing him for 4 days, and then that's the spot that you do bring him back. It was just seemed very odd. He obviously wasn't right when he first came back. I will say similarly, I know what he's batting over the course, but I will say, like, watching the games, I feel like he has looked a little bit better, like healthier. But yeah, I don't know what they were doing last week. Like, I think it was last Friday or something. He just randomly pinch hit after not playing for 4 games.
Yeah, that seems kind of forced, if you ask me. Just trying to get that guy into that position doesn't really make sense. But I mean, all in all, without even having to go through everybody else, like Brian Hayes continues to struggle. Andrew McCutchen has had a down week. IKF solid, but like again, there's just not enough meat to go around offensively to really give you any sort of. I don't even know how you could phrase it anymore. It's not even like a belief that they can be competitive because we know that they're not going to be competitive. There's not even enough substance there offensively to like get you to want to watch the games. That's I think the biggest issue. And you kind of touched on that last week, saying how like you're not even interested
even on
in
Steam
watching
Stars,
anything.
Man.
Yeah. It doesn't, and we saw that firsthand this past week. Skenes gets a complete game. He lets up 1 run, has 9 strikeouts, and they lose. They lose that game.
Hey, thinking back on it, we were talking about how, last episode might have rubbed people the wrong way that are like, Pirates loyalists more so than fans. And not talking down to those people. Like, it is what it is. There's just some people that the Pirates can't do any wrong in. Like, they're just going to support them, obviously, regardless. And I 100% get that. But I will say, like, we had a lot of fun recording it, talk about it afterwards. We felt like it was good. And thinking back on it, you know, a little bit prophetic in terms of that. Like, we brought up a lot of stuff that ended up coming to fruition over the course of, like, for Skenes to have a complete game, like you're saying, in the week that we recorded that. I mean, it just goes back to what we talked about in the episode. So if you missed that one, I feel like that's not even one that, like,
I don't know that the date matters. Basis. I think you go back to last week's episode and watch that anytime at any point this season, because we didn't really focus on the games. It was just more so of a frustration, of a venting session about what is still going on. And then that's realistically, I feel like it's, as the season goes on, once we stop talking about the game in the episodes, it's going to be hard to talk about anything new, because it's just been so repetitive since the start of the season. Like I said, we're 50 games in right now, and I feel like every single time we talk about the Pirates, it's just the pitching is doing enough, the offense continues to struggle, and that's it. Like we mentioned, Paul Skenes, great start, complete game, 1 run given up, you lose that game. And looking at in the past week, your starters, well, I don't know if I can necessarily should consider Carmel Majinski a starter. I know he is.
I mean, well, see, but here's the thing. Talking back, again, going to like the process and just the path here, whether we agree with it or not, very clearly the Pirates view him as a starter, because it would have moved him into the bullpen otherwise, as opposed to sending him down to AAA. So I think it's pretty. That's not what I would do. I think they could use that arm in the bullpen. I think he'd probably be their second or third best reliever right now. Like, he has been. Here's the thing. I think there's a lot of, I don't know if short-sightedness is the right word, or unfair criticism from Majinski this year because of what is happening second, third times through the order. He shouldn't be seeing them that many times, though. Like, if he's coming out of the bullpen and he's doing his job one time through an entire order, he's not even going to do. If he's coming out of the pen, pitching 2 innings, seeing 6 batters, look how effective he's been the first time seeing guys every single game pretty much that he started. Like, I think he would be a legit good arm to have in the bullpen, but they're very clearly trying to do this starter thing. And I don't know if it's because, maybe the Jared Jones injury, still not having Johan Oviedo back in the mix. Like, they feel like they need to keep him fresh as a starter for that reason, for insurance or what it is. But I don't, like I said, I feel like he'd be your second or third best bullpen guy right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you've seen struggles from the bullpen guys this week too. That's another thing that let the Pirates down. I mean, Colin Holderman and David Bednar, it's like we're the first couple weeks of the season again with those two continuing to struggle, even though they had some good appearances in there. This past week has not been good. Really, the highlight of the team this past week has been the starters, and they've been really good. And yet, in those starts, you're trying to scrape out a win. I just don't understand how you can continue to do this, and all you get from Ben Cherington is, we just got to play better. Like, how many times are you going to be able to continue to say that before you realize that the team that you constructed is not capable of being better? And that's your fault.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about Ben Cherington, something he had to say, and the topic we started to talk about last week, but it continues to be a thing this week, and we got to touch on that when we come back. But first, here's a word from one of our sponsors, Game Changers. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412, and I just want to take a quick second to give a shout out to our folks at Game Changers. Their logo on the screen right now, right above my microphone. Over 2,000 different designs in their catalog. Luxury heavyweight material. I am wearing one of their shirts right now. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Head over to gamechanger.la or pick6.la to pick up some shirts. And guess what? Use code AT412. Save yourself $10 on your order every single time. Again, gamechanger.la or pick6.la. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Check them out. And a lot more designs on the way. Actually, they just responded. This relates to the Pirates. My guy Matt Lynch, you guys know him, Yinzer, with like three or four R's, I think, on the end of Yinzer on Twitter, asked me if I could ask them to put out a Willie Stargell design and like a Touch 2.0, like an updated one, maybe wearing like some alternate uniforms or something like that. and they replied and said in the lab or something like that, or in the works. So they're going to get some new Pirates designs. Right now they got a Bonds. They do have a touch already. O'Neal Cruz, Skenes, Jared Jones. That might be it. So at least 2 more designs coming on the way for Pirates fans. So be on the lookout for those. But that promo that we run says 2,000 designs. They're either at or very close to 4,000 now. So you can see the rate there. I mean, they already put out a new design for Tyrese Halliburton doing the choke thing yesterday. Yeah. So like you see how quick they're pumping stuff out over there. Go check them out. Save yourself $10 using code AT412. Tyler, last week we talked about how pissed off we were that we know this team's not going to trade Paul Skenes right now. And that is what Ben Cherington said right before we threw it to the commercial. That is what I said I wanted to talk about coming out of Ben Cherington's mouth. But we're still seeing trade proposals be put on Twitter. We're still seeing this crap. And it's going to continue to happen because of the Pirates not building around him. You made me laugh on Twitter, quoting John Heyman about building around him. And it was Patrick Starr with a floorboard stapled to his head, or what nailed to his head, I should say. Because legitimately, like that's what we're talking about here. We got this generational talent on the roster. This team did not show a willingness to build around him in what we called last year the most important offseason that the Pirates were going to have. Did not sufficiently add. I mean, that pressure cooker is just going to keep getting hotter and hotter. That seat's going to keep getting hotter and hotter. And these trade proposals are going to keep coming unless you legitimately do build around this guy. They got, and it's not going to happen in season this year, like zero chance in my mind. Next offseason, I know we said it last year was the most important offseason. Can you imagine if they just don't do anything again or do the exact same, like basically the same approach, what the conversation's going to be? Because then I think this does become more so than just like media driven or fan driven. I think at that point, we got to start taking it more seriously. Where like Skenes is going to start thinking about like, how do I get out of here?
Yeah, I think that conversation in this narrative is not helping anything. And this all stems back to the Pirates organization not understanding the type of player that they have with Paul Skenes and taking advantage of it in the wrong way. All they see in my mind and a lot of people's minds is a way to sell merchandise, a way to sell tickets, when in reality, you should see this as a way to attain wins, a way to be competitive, and a way to get yourself back into the postseason. You got the best pitcher in the world on your team. I don't understand. Still, week in and week out, we have this discussion about why, like, I understand why the national media and anybody outside of Pittsburgh is having the discussion about trading Paul Skenes. Even though objectively, I know we're not even a year and a half into his MLB tenure, but I know it's not going to happen. As a Pirate fan, I know that's not going to happen. But I understand it. I really do understand why people think that the Pirates should trade him now, because they're just going to sit on their hands and do absolutely nothing with him for the foreseeable future, because I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel with this. And that's why I think that the Pirates ultimately will need to make a change for something to actually happen. And that change will now start with Ben Cherington, seeing that they did get rid of Derek Shelton already. But even then, I don't trust the organization with necessarily who they bring in to be able to build around him to be a competitive ball team. But I do understand it, why people are putting out these trade proposals, as asinine as they may be to see as Pirate fans. I get it. I understand why someone shows up on opening day at PNC Park in a Skenes Yankees jersey, because there's a good chance that that's one of the teams that he's going to end up on in a few years. I 100% get it, but it's frustrating nonetheless. And I think the more frustrating part about it is not the trade proposals. It's that I just don't trust the Pirates organization to actually do anything about it. I don't trust them to be able to build around this team. I don't know what the difference is in 2013. Well, even before 2013, 2011, 2012, especially 2012, you could see like the blueprint, like the Pirates were trying to be competitive. Ultimately, 2012 fell off to the wayside at the end of the season, and they didn't end up making the postseason, but they finally put it together in 2013. They had a player to build around in Andrew McCutchen. They had an MVP to build around in Andrew McCutchen. What's the difference? Is Neil Huntington the difference? Is it like the change in GM, having somebody that actually has the gumption to be able to try to build around like and build a competitive baseball team? Because if that's the case, then get Ben Cherington the hell out of here and try to get somebody that's going to build something. I just don't see the narrative is the same between where the Pirates are now and where the Pirates were in probably 2010, 2011. You are a bad baseball team right now, but you have something to build around. The difference is 15 years ago, they actually built around that player. Now they're just sitting on their hands doing nothing, and they're just going to keep collecting checks from people in terms of merchandise. And I mean, I can't even say ticket sales at this point because nobody wants to go to the games, even on Paul Skenes starts. So they're just going to try to scrape every single dollar they can out of Paul Skenes until he's not a Pirate anymore.
So I will say the roster construction back then was definitely better, but it's not like they went out and spent some like massive amount, that they like aren't spending now or anything like that on those rosters. I think they just spent better, which is why I would say, yeah, the difference is with the GM. Like that's why we talked about, Neil Huntington. It's not like he was some, world beater, needle mover of a GM. But he was able to squeeze a window out of a team that has the financial restrictions that it does to show you that it is possible to do so. I'm not saying that he should still be the guy here, but I'm just saying him showing that to me shows that Ben Cherington shouldn't be the guy here and that it should be somebody else in place right now. Cause I think it's definitely possible to build better than what the Pirates have, even taking into consideration the financial restrictions that we know are in place because of who the owner is. I guess for me, I had hoped based off what I'm saying, where they still weren't spending a crazy amount of money or doing anything like even at like the trade deadline, like they made the right moves, but it's not like they made some like crazy splashes. Like Marlon Byrd was certainly impactful, but when we traded for him, it's not like we thought we were getting, Aaron Judge type player or anything like that at the trade deadline, or the best bat on the market even. So, and I would say the same thing, even, 98 wins in 2015. Like Jay Happ obviously ended up being awesome for them, but like when we acquired him, it's not like we expected that to happen. Like they just pressed the right buttons and had the right people behind the scenes to see something to maximize the value of what they were getting in return. I guess my hope was I thought they would learn from that, where they weren't able to keep that competitive window open, where it slammed shut after that 3 years. Like it wasn't even like a gradual decline in 2016, 2017. It was just they were gone and haven't been back into that position since, despite having obviously the winning season in 2018. It wasn't anywhere close to those 3 seasons that we're talking about. I guess my hope, like I said, was that they had learned from that and that the next time they felt like there was a roster worth investing those type of things into, the finances and also like wheeling and dealing on the trade market, that they would do so because of seeing the way that it went the first time. And they're not. Like we haven't seen them invest more money into the roster. We haven't seen them, trade for a needle moving player. Like we haven't seen either side of that. And it's really disappointing because I think that window looked like it was open because of the starting pitching, but I have no faith that they're going to distribute the resources necessary into that window to actually get anything fruitful out of it. I think we're going to be talking about a few really good individual careers in Pittsburgh, but I don't know that we're going to be talking about any type of, team success when it's all said and done.
I mean, and that's probably, to circle back to what I said in the beginning, where 2006 is the last time the Pirates started this poorly. That's pretty much how you could probably describe the mid 2000s, like really just the 2000s Pittsburgh Pirates. There are a lot of household names that we remember from that era, but you never saw any team success. They had a losing season every year. That was in the middle of the 21-year-long stretch of losing seasons. But that's probably similar to what you're probably going to get now, because you have several guys that kind of household names with the Pittsburgh Pirates, even national names, like people know who some of these guys are, but you're not getting the team success. And ultimately, this forever for me will go back to the GM until Ben Cherington is gone. And I don't even know that the guy that they replace him with is going to be any better. But until he's gone, I know they're not going to get any better. I'm looking at his overall record as a GM right now. Outside of the one winning season where he actually won the World Series with Boston, there's only one season that he has not finished in last place with his team in their division, and that was in 2023. They finished 4th in the division. Every other season, he's finished 5th.
Yeah, but he won a World Series.
That's true. I mean, I see your point. That's a good argument.
I mean, it's been years. Like I
winning a World Series 12 years ago. This is almost like in hockey when a player wins a Stanley Cup 10 years ago, but because he has that Stanley Cup, it still makes him valuable to trade for. That does not mean a damn thing nowadays. Why should his World Series 12 years ago, whenever in between those World Series as a GM, he has 8 going on 9 losing seasons as a GM, last place season outside of one where he finished 4th. Why does that World Series mean a freaking thing?
That's like, you can't even relate it to like the Mike Tomlin thing. You know, people always want to say like, how long can you hold on to the Super Bowl that he won? But like, if Ben Cherington was getting his teams above 500, going to the playoffs and losing, but not having any postseason success, then yeah, there's maybe some parallels there. But no, like you're talking about a guy that very clearly 1 year in an anomaly, not taken away from him, pressed a lot of right buttons, obviously there. And I think he even did some good things in Toronto with building that roster, but it hasn't translated here. And again, it's a totally different job. Like you're asking somebody to squeeze every single penny that you are invested. Like you can't afford to hand out a bad contract here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the flexibility to do so. That's what the money does for you. It gives you the flexibility to make mistakes. That is not afforded here. And unfortunately, that falls on Ben Cherington. I don't know if he's scared of making that mistake or what. Jason Mackey put out there that he doesn't think it's a lock that he's going to be the GM for the trade deadline and draft. I'll be stunned. I think he certainly finishes out the year. I don't think he's back next year, though. And there might be some people that disagree with that because they think like, you know, he'll just be Bob Nutting's yes man. It's an easy guy to have in place as a fallback. I think this has to be it. Like I think that they pulled the plug on Shelton. I just think it's hard to do with a GM in season. So I'm expecting Cherington to the draft, to the trade deadline. I'm curious though, like, do you handle the trade deadline differently knowing that though? You know what I mean? Like, does Nutting just say, yeah, I'm not letting you I'm not letting you trade all these assets or anything like that. Like, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Ben Cherington's overall record since he won that World Series, by the way, is 443 and 589. That is a winning percentage of 42.9%. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a winner to me. That sounds like a Pittsburgh Pirate. Maybe that's why they keep him around, because he just fits this ball club so well.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Also, fun tidbit that I looked up while you were talking. The 2025 Pittsburgh Pirates. The 2025 Pittsburgh Pirates, despite having 9 more wins than the 2025 Colorado Rockies, has been shut out one more time than the 2025 Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Pirates have been shut out 8 times so far in 2025. The Rockies have been shut out 7.
Yeah, well, no one said we were better at hitting than the Colorado Rockies, who are historically bad, just much better pitching.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fair point. Also, runs per game, Pirates continue to be last. And if you want to know where they compare to the historically bad Colorado Rockies, they are about half a run behind in terms of runs per game. through this point in the season. Colorado 3.35 runs per game, Pittsburgh 2.92. And if you want to go smaller sample size and look at just the past 2 weeks, the Pirates are averaging 1.8 runs per game.
Good.
So that just means we're getting worse.
Yeah. They're actually playing right now, by the way. Before we get out of here, I guess worth mentioning, they currently trail 5-3, and it's in a rain delay in the 6th inning. I want to give a shout out. Our boy, you didn't have the opportunity to be on here when we had Mike on a few years ago. Mike Burrows jumped on the podcast. He's back in the bigs. Mentioned Legensky went down. It was to bring Burrows back up and put him in the rotation. He's been killing it in AAA. Certainly deserved another shot up here. Shout out to Mike. Went 5 innings. Honestly, just got beat off 2 swings. Gave up a 3-run homer to Yelich on an opposite field homer, and then an absolute bullet, which I think got out of the stadium in like 1 second from, I think it was Bryce Terang. So really 2
how fast
swings.
I'm going to get out of the stadium on Saturday.
I'm sorry, no, it was Joey Ortiz. Oh, yeah, I forgot you were going. That should be fun, though. Shout out to the guys from North Shore 9. They got their tailgate going on, and you'll be in attendance for the game. So are you going to that?
I didn't RSVP,
see the boys,
so I don't know that I should. I'd like to see them. Maybe I can go see. I just can't eat any Permanis.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the restrictions are in terms of having RSVPs, but yeah, it should be a good time for those people that are going. I will not be. But yeah, anything else to say about the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Honestly, I'd probably be happy if I didn't have to say another word about the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2025. But alas, it's baseball season, and we're going to have at least one of these every single week till the end of September. So I'll just leave all my words about the Pittsburgh Pirates till next week.
I'm hopeful that we've already seen the worst of 2025, but
that's good. I mean, honestly, it's probably
just because I want to see guys like, okay, Nick Gonzalez will be, not that I'm saying these guys are needle movers are going to change the outlook of the season. Nick Gonzalez is going to be coming back.
You mean game changers? Hopefully, just because AT412?
Hopefully we get like Bubba Chandler up here at some point this summer. Like there should be things to look forward to this summer, regardless of how good the team is.
That there's going to be a narrative come summertime when the Pirates are so far out of it, where it's just like almost what's the point of bringing him up?
Yeah. I mean, you might be right. Maybe it's not worth, especially because you're not going to have Jones for a better portion of next year.
Yeah.
Like, would it make sense to just start his clock at the beginning of the year next year? Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I'm talking myself into that because I hate it for him, especially like I'm a pro player, but it doesn't not make sense.
Imagine an MLB debut of Bubba Chandler going 8 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 run given up, and he loses.
Loss.
Loss.
Well, I guess that's the positive coming out of Paul Skenes. Honestly, the starting pitcher seasons, they are the poster boys for why wins do not matter for starting pitchers and should not be a talking point. The pitchers themselves, I understand wanting them. Like that's a nice thing to get for them themselves. But in terms of having it be something in terms of debating who's good and who's not, let's put an end to this. The Pittsburgh Pirates are putting it on full display.
I mean, I'm looking at their win-losses right now. Paul Skenes is a 3.5. 3 wins, 5 losses. 2.44 ERA, number 5 ERA in baseball. Mitch Keller, 1 win, 6 losses. Not to mention that in his last 8 starts, he's got like a 2.1 ERA, and he can't do anything about it.
Mitch Keller's on his Paul Maholm stuff right now.
Andrew Haney, 3 wins, 3 losses. Same thing with Bailey Falter, 3 wins, 3 losses. You are right. If there is any time there's a poster boy to end the argument that pitching wins actually matter, it is right now. Look at the 2025 Pittsburgh Pirates. Does not matter. Top 5 rotation in all of baseball, and they have a losing record in terms of starting pitching.
That's one that we got right on our predictions. Yeah. and one that we got right in our predictions episode. So 40-minute Pirates podcast. Before we get out of here, of course, still got to tell you about a couple more sponsors. Right now, the pitching obviously has been great. In terms of the bats, not many guys that make the cut. Smitty from Around the 412 here, and while I may not have much hair, the hair that I do have will not be cut by anybody besides Keek at Keek's Barbershop. My friend Christian Circle, been with us since day one. Keek's Barbershop, located 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Download the app The Cut, book an appointment with Christian today, or you can do walk-in with Tony or Ashley. But again, Keek's Barbershop, 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Go check them out. Old school vibe in there. Absolutely love it. Cannot recommend them enough. Wouldn't go anywhere else. Maybe I'll see you there. Yeah. Pirates.
That you could probably clip that and just have that be the intro to every Pirate show.
40 minutes talking about the Pirates. I don't know how he did it. Again, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Yeah, I guess so. Check out the description, all the links to all of our sponsors down below, including right above Tyler right now, Marcelo Electric, our friend Brandon Marcelo, aka Boots, his small business serving in Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence, and Butler County. Residential, commercial, service calls, does not matter. He's got you covered. 724-614-0611. Again, Marcelo Electric, 724-614-0611. Link down below will take you to his Facebook page, show you all the work that he's been doing lately. Got his van done up as well, and it looks sweet. So again, hit up Marcelo Electric for any of your electrical needs. Hit up Keats Barbershop, download the app The Cut, book an appointment with Christian, or you can do a walk-in with Tony or Ashley over there, and then check out GameChanger.la, Pick6.la. Save yourself $10 using code AT412 at checkouts to get yourself a t-shirt. Follow us on everything at Around the 412, and then we have our individual handles on here now too. I think we've been doing that the last couple weeks. I know I have, just because Alan has his, so I made mine to go along with his, and then I think you followed suit on here. So you can find me everywhere, Zachary Smith PGH, and you can follow Tyler at Weiler_Teeks33. So do that, and then come right back here next week to watch or listen to another Pirates episode, and we'll see what we can dive into, see who got hurt, see who's out for the rest of the season, see what happened in the Pirates' one win of the week, and we'll talk about it. So until then, for Smitty, for Tyler, this has been the Around the 412 Pirates Show. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.